There is great deception and confusion going on in our society. I like to call it shape-shifting. But today I want to draw a line in the sand between truth and fiction. Because like I said, the deception is growing thick. There's a question that they're asking, what is a woman? Now, how disrespectful is that to attempt to reduce and redefine who the woman is? But this is a testament to how delusional pride can make you become. To think that you have the power and authority to redefine something that you didn't even create. But I want to deal with the unclean spirit that's in operation, because what we're dealing with is a perverse spirit. It's an attack on the Creator's original design of male and female. This spirit distorts, misuses, and confuses. And I titled this video, "A Woman is Not a Costume," because I'm seeing these men dressed up as women, appearing like women, presenting to be feminine like women, professing to be women, but they are men. They are males. They are shapeshifters. Because there is no such thing as a trans woman. It doesn't matter how society tries to slice it, dice it, there's no such thing as a trans woman. And let me just say that I know firsthand how this spirit operates in terms of gender and sexuality, because the lost and confused girl that you're looking at right now on the screen used to be me. I was a tomboy with the masculine persona. So this isn't something I've read about. I lived it. And through the power of the Holy Spirit, I overcame it. I know how deceptive feelings can be and how the ignorance of spiritual laws and consequences causes many people to walk in spiritual darkness, because that used to be me. We're not only up against our flesh telling us lies, but the social programming of this world system has a strong influence on the unguarded hearts and minds. So society is lying to you too. The so-called liberation and pride movements are lying to you. The media is lying to you. This gender-affirming propaganda is lying to you. And all of it is spearheaded by the God of this world system, Satan. And as a master of deception, he is telling you that you were born to be gay, that you're lesbian, bisexual, and trans. He's telling you that you are a woman even though you were born a male, or that you're a man when you were born female. This is orchestrated spiritual warfare. I want us to focus on the spirit that's in operation, because it's so easy to become distracted by all of the theatrics. And let me clarify that this spirit of perversion doesn't only operate in men that are trying to identify as women. The spirit of perversion operates in both male and female, straight and gay. It's a spirit. Let's travel back to the beginning, when the first man and first woman were created. And when Adam looked at Eve for the first time, he said, "This is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one is called woman." But the perverse spirit looks at the woman and says, "This one is called fish. This one is called cis woman and womb carrier," as a way to diminish and marginalize women. But underneath the trans costume is another perverted man forcing himself on a woman, forcing made-up terms on women, and could care less how we feel about it. I didn't give consent to be called cisgender and cis woman. I didn't give consent to be called fish, and they expect us to accept it. But I will not bow down to this perverse spirit. I will not accept the terms that are originating from the spirit of perversion. I know who I am, and I'm a woman, and I don't need a label. I don't need a category to be one. So when Adam saw the woman, he saw his counterpart, his wife. He saw his helpmeet and dominion. He saw the female who complemented his differences as the male, and he recognized that she was the perfect fit for him. But the spirit of perversion looks at the woman and says, "I want to be you. I want to be like you. I want to be a better woman than you. So I'm going to assume your identity, dominate your spaces, and redefine who Yah designed you to be when he fashioned Eve." It says, "I will reduce you to a costume and a caricature and equate you with over-exaggerated entertainment." This spirit perverts order into chaos and uses what's innate in a man in reverse. It does the opposite of the natural inclination of a man to put him in a state of malfunction. So instead of a man leading as the head, this spirit uses his authority to control him and twist his self-concept. Because how can he function as a man if he sees himself as a woman? Instead of a man protecting a woman, this spirit fights her and sees her as competition. It seeks to upstage the woman and be the center of attention. And instead of a man having love and affection for a woman, this spirit hates and belittles her. It cuts the woman down with sharp words and has no regard for her. This spirit speaks demeaning names to a woman to reshape how she sees herself, and it turns men sassy and often gets a pass for misogyny as it masquerades as quote unquote one of the girls. See, by design, women are more submissive to a male's voice. So there are women who will begin to parrot what the spirit calls them. They will begin to call themselves fish, which is a tragedy. And by design, men are to establish, protect, and provide love, leadership, guidance, instruction, and discipline, a conducive environment for a healthy family and community. But this spirit's agenda is to emasculate the male and remove the husband from the marriage union and the fathers from the home and family structure, which often leaves young boys growing up in the shadows of women without the representation of a positive father figure. So we have effeminate boys growing into effeminate men and repeating the cycle. But the Most High created two genders and set them apart for a specific purpose. And one of those main purposes is to bear fruit. But you can't get that with two men. And you can't get it with two women. So the woman is not a costume. But here we have men or males dressed in costumes. They have the makeup, the nails done, breast implants, wigs, sew-ins, the women's clothes and accessories. And some even go as far as having bottom surgery. They take on the appearance of a woman, but they are not women whatsoever, even down to the biological level. It's impossible to change your sex, your gender. And to my sisters who are listening, this is why when we make our whole identities about our physical appearance and discount ourselves, it validates the effeminate men who are being deceived into thinking that they are a woman, as if womanhood is an aesthetic. But let me go on the record saying that there is no such thing as a trans man, and there is no such thing as a trans woman. There is only man and woman, male and female. Scripture states male and female, he created them. And any ideology contrary to that has no basis in truth. It's just fiction. If you were born male, you will die male. If you were born female, you will die female. A man dressing up as a woman will never be a woman. He's an impersonator, an imposter, an illusionist, but he's not a woman. And ladies, that's why we have to stop getting caught up and seduced by these fake women empowerment movements, because the devil is in the details. We have to stop being enablers and giving the spirit of perversion a platform and opportunity to operate, trying to be so understanding and tolerating to our own detriment. Because when you say the future is female, like one of the slogans, what you're doing, you're coming into agreement with that, and you're giving your sons over to this perverse spirit that's on assignment to effeminize men. You wonder why a lot of our boys and a lot of our men are effeminate. Because people are playing right into the devil's hands, right into the devil's agenda, wanting to be victims. But this is nothing more than an identity based on feelings. Something that I hear a lot in the trans movement is I feel. But a woman is not a feeling. Imagine a world where everyone did everything according to how they felt. Nothing, I mean absolutely nothing would be functional. It'll be 100% chaos. And this isn't to invalidate human feelings, but it's to challenge the feelings that are not grounded in reality. I'm confronting the lying spirit. I'm confronting these seducing spirits. So if a 25-year-old feels 70 years old, can that person go and get a senior citizen discount? So how far does this thing go? See, we have feelings, but we are not our feelings. We can't allow our flesh to deceive us and lead us astray. So how far does this really go? And who gets a pass? Because if a man who wants to identify as a woman based on how he feels gets a pass, do the pedophiles get a pass? The adults who feel sexually attracted to children, do they get a pass? Does bestiality get a pass? The ones who feel sexually attracted to animals. Does incest get a pass? Do the people who feel attracted to inanimate objects like blow-up dolls, do they get a pass? Where does it end? Where does it stop? Before you realize that an identity based on feelings is an identity based on lies. We cannot change a moral framework that we did not establish in the first place based on our feelings. You have to ask yourself, where are your feelings coming from? Because when you have a man identifying as a woman based on feelings, oftentimes those feelings are from sexual trauma and emotional voids. If you sat down with these men and asked them about their stories in childhood, you will often find two commonalities: sexual abuse and the absence of a loving father. Now, either the father was absent physically or emotionally, or he was abusive. So some will take on the sexual confusion stemming from the molestation and make that their identity, not knowing that the same spirit of perversion that was working through the abuser is now the same spirit operating through them. And some will have voids because they grew up lacking their father's presence, and they have a longing for fatherly affection and affirmation. But Satan sits back and says, I will send you a father. But since he is the father of lies, what he sends will be a lie. It will be a perversion because fathers are not supposed to sleep with their sons. See, the enemy weaponizes our pain, our trauma wounds, and our voice against us to make us believe that we're something that we're not. And all along, demonic personalities are being expressed through you, and you think that's the real you. But we have to look at the spirit that's behind this behavior and expose these false identities. And we have this tendency to make our symptoms our identity. And by symptoms, I'm talking same-sex attraction, gender dysphoria, shame, pain, emptiness, the self-condemnation and confusion are all symptoms. These are the fruit. So instead of making our symptoms our identity, we have to start to ask questions. And even in the healthcare field, the fruit or symptoms are taken into account to help pinpoint the root cause. And sometimes they even look at your family history. And when we talk family history, this could be coming from a generational curse that you have inherited. And sometimes they even have to run tests to make a diagnosis. But once they find the problem, then the treatment and the healing process can begin. Making your trauma your identity does not heal you. When you're wounded and traumatized, you need healing. You need recovery. You need to be made whole. But you have to want healing. You have to want to be set free and deliverance from the demonic spirits that are taking claim of your life. You have to want real transformation because Satan's transformation is a lie. You have to set aside your pride, because pride makes you delusional. And that's one of the identifying characteristics of the LGBTQ movement, pride. You know, I'm reminded of when King David told his son Solomon when he was near death, he told him, be strong and show yourself a man. Now, he could have told him anything, but he told him, show yourself a man. Because men, we need you to take your rightful position as you were designed. We need you to lead righteously and pick up your spiritual weapons to break these generational cycles of trauma, iniquity, and fatherlessness. Fathers, your sons and daughters need you. You are important, so take your rightful place. If you were not important, the devil would not work so hard to effeminize you. He would not work so hard to take your authority. Now more than ever, we need men to stand up and live righteously without compromise. Now more than ever, we need to be living a life of obedience to the Most High. Obedience to His commandments is our protection. It is too dangerous out here because the deception is growing thicker by day. And we need to be praying for spiritual discernment because things are not always what they appear to be. Men, brothers, who you think may appear to be a woman, may not be a woman. It's not the time to be out here fornicating and living a wayward lifestyle. Even to my sisters out there, it's some man that's on the down low. Listen, the deception is too thick. It behooves you to obey the Creator's commandments and not be out here fornicating. Because all of these STDs, this HIV, and all these things that you can't get rid of, you'll end up getting the gift that keeps on giving. Obedience to Yah's commandments is our protection. These seducing spirits are on assignment to deceive us, to entrap us. But we have the responsibility to live righteous. I was thinking about this the other day, and it's almost like we're living in a twilight zone. One of the greatest deceptions right now is men identifying as women and women identifying as men and going to get the surgeries and committing what I say is really sorcery. This deception, this illusion and delusion. Now was not the time to be in them streets.